everybody, and it's been a long time. I've been going through a lot of clearings for the collective, and the way it usually happens for me is stuff has to come into the conscious awareness. It has to surface to be witnessed and subsequently transmuted. And when it comes to clearing the collective, there is a lot of nasty stuff there, so sometimes it just leaves me completely unable, incapable of pretty much doing anything else for days and days and days. But today I finally felt guided and able, to come here and do a reading for you. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have a couple of stacks. I think it's gonna be 5. Let's try to do 5 and see what comes through. So if you've been guided to watch this, there might be a message for you here. Please take a moment to pause and ask yourself, what is the deck 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I need to watch? Maybe if you feel guided, watch all of them. Maybe just randomly click on the video, just follow your guidance, follow your intuition, and see what it uncovers for you. So let's see. Please only that which is in full alignment with the highest truth and the highest good. What messages want to come through for this group? We're gonna do stack number 1. Stack number 1. So you might want to watch stack number 2 as well. This is the first message that is coming through. We have happiness in reverse. So what is coming through for this card is something that I know from my personal experience. There was a moment in my life when I was really struggling to feel anything but discouragement and pain. And when I started to try and tackle this for myself, I realized that part of the puzzle piece was my resistance to being in this state, because it's almost like I have internalized an idea, almost like this, Coke commercial kind of, idea of I need to be happy. I have to be happy. Life is supposed to feel good. Life is supposed to be, to make me feel happy. And not to say that it cannot be that, but reality of the things is that there is a lot of stuff in our societies, in our lives, in our consciousness, in our in our bodies, that is not conducive to happiness. It's in direct opposition to happiness. And if you find yourself in a space of not feeling happy, of not feeling satisfied, of feeling anything other than that, this idea can cause additional resistance to where you are. And resistance will just, make it persist. In order to truly transform anything, in order to truly transform your state, you gotta release the resistance, and you gotta allow yourself to feel into that state. You gotta allow yourself to stop believing and thinking and expecting to be some other place than you are, and kind of go head on into these feelings, to witness them without a filter, to witness them without an expectation that they should change. And that is truly what can cause them to transmute. So when you run away from an emotion, when you run away from a perception, because you might be afraid, because it might feel too confusing, overpowering, it kind of follows you. When you turn around, and you need to have enough capacity, to look at certain things. You need to have enough capacity to be able to witness pain. It's kind of like a muscle, you need to build capacity to lift weights. You cannot just try and lift the heaviest thing. That's not going to work well. Through different techniques, through meditation, through self-inquiry, through building an internal safe space, through educating yourself on the topic of emotions. You can build, through working with your nervous system as well, you can build a capacity to actually sit with difficult emotions, sit with difficult perceptions. And when you allow yourself to witness them without resistance, your stream of consciousness, which has a particular vibrational frequency, it has a particular transmutational power to it. It allows these emotions and perceptions to transform. So no way you're going to achieve happiness by running away from how you feel and trying to cover it up, trying to resist it, trying to trying to ignore it. There's no way that's going to happen. Releasing resistance, accepting where you are, accepting it for the sake of being able to do something about it, looking at it head on, building your capacity and looking at it. And as you look at it, again, as you are able to sit without resistance, without over identification with what you're feeling, your presence has a power to transmute and dissolve these states. So for example, guilt. You can, a lot of people have been socialized in the way that their system is built on guilt. They wake up, they feel guilty for existing, for not doing enough, for not being enough, or whatever. They live in a state of guilt. So that is in direct opposition to happiness. You cannot feel happy and feel guilty all the time. Trying to cover it up, trying to, but I have to be happy, I have to be happy, I have to be enjoying myself, I have to be enjoying my life. That's not going to work. The only way that's going to work is you need to turn around and look at the guilt, look at where it comes from, and sit with these emotions. A lot of this, for example, guilt, a lot of this can be certain emotions and experiences that have resulted from childhood that kind of got stuck in the system and never found resolve. They did not, it's almost like a wave that rises and then it cannot finish itself. It just kind of gets stuck, and then this message, it doesn't get delivered. It just kind of, this continuous notification that never got received. So by looking at it, you allow yourself to experience it to its completion. It's almost like your witnessing of it burns it up. Okay, it transmutes it. But again, for that, there needs to be a capacity and there needs to be a practiced skill of not overly identifying with the emotion. You kind of have to learn how to witness without making it mean anything, without, getting involved back again into that storyline that has initially caused this emotion to rise. So what works for me is I try to single out the emotion. I try to single out the experience of it and separate it from the storyline. And that helps a lot to, again, transmute. Your being, your presence has a transmutational power. Your stream of consciousness, when you point it at something, has a transmutational power, again, if you have enough capacity and if you have this skill of, or an understanding at least, of not getting sucked into the storyline. So that is the initial message. Not resisting. If you don't feel happy, if you don't feel like one of those people in those commercials, that's actually normal. Considering the reality that we are experiencing here, considering how many things are actually misaligned and dysfunctional, it is quite normal for us to feel this way. I feel this about, what is called mental disorders and mental illness these days. I believe that a lot of it is not a disorder. It is in fact a healthy reaction to a dysfunction within the system. It's kind of like, an animal living in a confined space on a farm completely out of alignment with what is meant for it to be happy and kind of expecting itself to be happy. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. So not resisting, not believing this, this, not having this expectation from yourself to feel anything other than what you feel. What you feel is valid. It is a valid and direct response to the circumstance of your life. Allowing yourself to be honest about it is not confining yourself to it, because a lot of people feel like if they're gonna look at their pain, they're gonna be stuck in that pain. And the reality is quite the opposite. When you look at the pain, again, if you have the capacity built, and I can talk a little bit more about that if you want, just let me know. If you want me to talk a bit more about how to build this capacity. If you have that capacity built, if you have that light quotient, you can bring it into the difficult experience, emotion, trauma, perception, and transmute it, okay? So we have wisdom in reverse. So again, expecting yourself kind of painting your walls blue and trying to see the skyline is going to prevent you from gaining the valuable insight that those painful emotions and the reality of your situation has for you. So it's only through, again, it's almost like a filter, taking this overlay, taking this filter off about how I'm supposed to feel, how things are supposed to be, taking it away and just squarely looking at reality, knowing that you doing that can actually change that reality. We have starting over. So this will allow you, again, because until we have certain things stuck, uncleared, running the show subconsciously, we are at the mercy of them. We are bound to create them on the level of our emotion, or on the level of physicality, and we are to a certain degree at the mercy of them. So again, allowing yourself to look at the pain has a lot of value. It is something counterintuitive for many people, but through transmuting this pain, you gain the ability to almost like have a clean slate, okay, to create things not as not in a deterministic way, not in the way that your past hurt is creating your future, but in the way of more control, more awareness, more sovereignty. Okay, so I feel like this is a message number 1, and let's see message number 2. So what do we need to know? We have 9 of Wands in reverse. So again, this is a similar message. Past hurt. Okay, he's kind of looking at all these wands. He's hurt. This is the things that have hurt him in the past, and he is still very much aware of them, anticipating more hurt. So this is in reverse, kind of avoiding looking at that past. And 9 of Cups in reverse. This prevents happiness. This is what actually prevents happiness. So again, my intuition said that the group that resonated with the first message might resonate with the second one, and the second one is pretty much similar. In order to align with greater satisfaction and happiness, you cannot ignore the uncomfortable, the painful, and the unwanted. It is by looking at it directly, and again, it is important to build the capacity to do that through meditation, through working with your nervous system, through this gradual kind of, first you look at things that are not as difficult, you kind of practice with things that have less intensity to them, you don't try to tackle deep existential issues, And then you just build your capacity slowly and slowly to stay present with the discomfort, and you start to notice that this has the power to transform this discomfort. Also, what is important to note here is that a lot of people do this work. You could call it shadow work. A lot of people do this work and they fail to take an action. They fail to change something as a result of this renewed awareness. So for example, a person can have this guilt from their childhood, kind of ingrained into them, feeling guilty for causing discomfort to other people, feeling afraid to take up space, feeling afraid to bring up conflict. And then, they live their life at the mercy of that, which leads to a lot of dissatisfaction, authenticity, not being able to stand up for yourself, and all kinds of things. So when they start to tackle this, when they start to look at this guilt, when they allow themselves to stay present within the feeling without running away, that can lead to this personal truth emerging, kind of like, what, I deserve to allow myself to be. Okay, I deserve to be without feeling guilty. I didn't do anything wrong. Maybe I was a child. I was bothering my parents, who had a lot going on, who had to struggle for, to provide, and were overwhelmed, and they would react at me being a kid with anger because they were overwhelmed, not because me as a person is bad and wrong. But I have internalized that as, I am wrong. I need to keep myself small to not irritate other people and not to add on to their pain. So that this realization can come up, but in order to complete it, in order to align just from, looking at the pain to actually reclaiming the light that was stolen by that pain, it is advised you take an action. It is advised you take a step, no matter how small, to actually actualize in the physical the results of that awareness. This has a particular, there is a particular energetic mechanism that makes it much more potent and powerful as an agent of change, when you don't just experience these things mentally or emotionally, and when you take a step and take a physical action to kind of bring it into this density, bring it, ground it into this density. Sometimes we might not be ready to take a change, to make a change. Sometimes we might be afraid. Very frequently we might be afraid. Very frequently making a change will result in some kind of additional negative emotion. So again, this is about practice and capacity, and this is truly a way to healing, and this is truly a way to happiness, because as long as you're running with that shadow behind your back, there's no way you're gonna live like in the Coke commercial and gaslight yourself out of feeling that pain. So this is a message, pretty much very similar message, just the second stack is, again, there's an additional emphasis on the necessity, the need to take an action based on the awareness, based on the change in the awareness that you accomplish through doing the shadow work. So now let's do number 3. We have King of Cups and we have 9 of Cups in reverse. So this theme continues. This is more about balance, okay? So the balance between doing the shadow work, and if you have not watched the first and the second stack, we talked about basically doing the shadow work, basically facing whatever negative emotions, perceptions, beliefs, luggage you have accumulated along the way, in order to transmute it and in order to become able to feel happier, to feel more content, to feel more aligned. And here is the message about the need to balance this work with positive focus. So what happens for a lot of people when they figure out that reality is not just random, this random thing happening to them, that there is a connection between their internal world, between their energy, their thoughts, their feelings, their beliefs, and the external. When they figure out that their shadows, their suppressed feelings, they contribute to creating external manifestations. When they find this empowerment in impacting the way their life unfolds through this internal and personal work, they frequently fall into this trap of excessive shadow work. Okay, it's almost like for me, I have experienced this myself because I've been through a lot of difficult things, and I pretty much being very sensitive to pain, my own and of others. I was desperate. I was really dedicated. I was like, I'm gonna do this work. I'm gonna clean it all up so it doesn't reoccur, so nothing bad can happen. And I would just kind of push myself into this work without much understanding or capacity or skill, which led to me feeling overwhelmed. If you are constantly focusing on the shadow, if you're constantly focusing on things that need to be healed, things that need to be fixed, feeling the pain and transmuting the pain, that might not be sustainable. Okay, that might not be sustainable. In order to do proper shadow work, you need to accumulate light. You need to recharge your battery through positive focus. So basically, when you focus positively, and I do not mean delusion in any way, I mean following the emotion that brings you a sense of relief, a sense of excitement, a sense of peace, whatever you can reach, a sense of love, whatever, anything that brings you into greater alignment with the stream of your source being, which is unbound by fear. The more you can accept and ground into yourself and basically charge yourself with the light. Now, then you take that light and use it to transmute the shadow. So if you just go into the shadow, okay, and then you go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, you utilize that light, and eventually it starts to decrease and decrease. Your capacity to heal decreases. You need to balance yourself up. It's kind of like, if you would to exercise, all the available hours during the day, that would not be healthy. You need exercise and you need rest. So this is a message to those who are pursuing shadow work, who are pursuing some kind of clearing, healing work, and can be for yourself, it can be for the collective. You need to understand it. You need to recharge. You need sometimes to let yourself go and just be, to let yourself sleep. Super important. Sleep is crucial in healing. If a lot of people that feel depressed, and again, this is something that I've experienced myself. I had a pretty deep depression, which was basically part of my training program, because I found a way through that, and now I'm able to share my experience and maybe hopefully help somebody else. Sleep would do so much for myself, and I would feel guilty for sleeping so much, but I was pretty much forced by my body to do that, and that healed a lot. Sleep helps to integrate, sleep helps to upgrade, sleep helps to receive messages, sleep helps your body, sleep helps your mind. Sleep is super crucial, and prioritizing sleep is extremely important in any kind of shadow work, healing work, and ascension work. Okay, so again, balancing out the shadow work with positive focus, with nurturing yourself with things that help you to align to a higher frequency, that help you to nurture your being with energy, which is pretty much anything, you know, anything that allows you to relax, allows you to feel better. And you know, sometimes people fall into addictions for that, and that is definitely not the best way. But you know, at a certain point, a person might not be able to deal with the circumstance of their life without using some kind of external tool for that. You gotta strive to be able to charge yourself and cope and manage life without relying on a substance or a person, through being internally contained, through being able to ultimately direct your focus of attention in the way that aligns you with the flow of energy. So again, a thought, I am a terrible person, I'm miserable, I am just a piece of shit, is gonna misalign you with the flow. You're gonna be losing charge, you're gonna be losing power. The thought, you know what, I'm okay with myself, you know what, I am a unique expression, and I am the way I am for a reason, and I choose to give myself acceptance at this moment. And you know what, I think I am a beautiful person if you can reach for that, and I bring a lot of value. And even if I don't bring value, you know, I just deserve my own love for existing, because I want to be my friend and not my enemy. I'm going to give that love to myself. I'm going to be a good parent to myself. These kinds of thoughts, they align you ultimately with the frequency of your higher self, which allows for the flow of energy to flow into this density and to charge this, okay? As you accumulate that energy, as you accumulate that light, you start to feel better, and you are ultimately, eventually able to work with the shadow by shining that light at the shadow, okay? So let's see. Stack number 4. We have strength. We have inspiration in reverse. We have balance in reverse. So it is a unified theme for today's reading, shadow work. Some people have this adaptation of to life, of powering through the difficult. And although sometimes that is important, to power through the difficult and to kind of to remain stable through it, if that is your prime strategy, in the long run, that can be very damaging. So what I'm trying to say here is, for example, if you have a trauma of lack. So for example, I'm not good enough, I don't have enough, everybody else is doing so much better than me, and I have to power through. I have to put 20 hours of work. I have to be working and working and working to make myself a better person, and working out and eating healthy and meditating and doing all this job and la 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 la. That's gonna lead to a burnout. That's not sustainable. And sometimes people don't want to hear that, because the pain of the initial pain that has caused this adaptation is, for example, I'm not good enough. You know, if I tell I'm not good enough and I need to power through, I need to do all I can. When you tell that person that sometimes, you know what, in order to achieve your goal, you need to stop sometimes and rest. That can create panic, and that can create a feeling of powerlessness to the problem, because to power through is the only solution that they currently can fathom. This is a message about logically and strategically assessing your situation and understanding that in order for you to gain muscle mass, in order for you to train your body, in order for you to be successful in anything, in order for you to be successful in shadow work, in order for you to be successful in personal healing and personal development, whatever, you need to have balance between work and rest. I remember this analogy that I've heard many years ago from a Buddhist monk, and he talked about how if you hold up a glass of water that is not too heavy, over time, if you keep holding it, it will start to seem heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. Not because it is getting heavier, but because your hand is getting tired and it needs rest. You need to put the glass down, let your hand rest, and then you can pick it up again. So if you struggle with this issue of just powering through things, just, remaining stoic through things, I invite you to look at the potential downsides of that approach. I invite you to look at the fear that you might have around resting, around being softer, around releasing. And I invite you to inquire about the benefit of actually having more balance, not just powering through, but doing the work, doing all you can, and then allowing yourself to rest so you can do it all again, and allowing yourself to rest so you can do it all again. You can move much further this way without burning up. It might be slower, but in the long run, the powering through is not sustainable. It's just not, okay? So now, let's do step number 5. We have anticipation. Okay, so this is for a group of you, and we have balance. I have experienced this myself. Sometimes it feels like we're put on hold, and this relates greatly to light workers, to people who are aware they are doing some kind of work here, who are aware they are on a mission here. Sometimes we are being held, you could call, in the zero space, because the reality is extremely complex. There's so many things happening outside of our conscious awareness that determine the proper timing for certain things. So it's kind of like, if the bear falls asleep during the winter, it is for a reason. If things fall asleep during the winter, they enter this freeze state, this rest stage, where it seems like nothing is happening. If you try and force things during this stage, it's not gonna work. The conditions for your purpose to properly unfold require proper timing. And sometimes you can be held up in this suspension space, and not understanding why things are not moving. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I'm supposed to be doing more and be more productive. This is a message of respecting the divine timing. There is a reason when things feel, for example, it can also happen when you begin a project and there is a lot, or you begin some kind of work and there is a lot of energetic momentum, and then it just feels like things freeze for a moment. Many of us will tend to try and push through. Many of us have a very low capacity of tolerating just being present and being patient. But this is a very important message here that is coming through. And I feel like you kind of know this already, what I'm saying here. You will know this already, what I'm saying here. If you're a person who is just, has a problem with action that comes out of trauma, that's going to be a whole different story. If you have a problem with, fear of commitment and all of this kind of stuff, that's going to be a whole other story. This is a message to a person who just if you will have this internal inkling of resonance, if you'll feel this message click, okay, this is a message for you. If you feel like you are being put on hold right now in whatever you are doing, in your mission, in your work, in your healing, whatever, this is for a reason. You're being stationed to be protected from something, or to be aligned with proper timing. Because again, there is a best time to plant seeds. And there is a time when if you plant your seeds, they're not going to grow. So be accepting and respectful of this timing. You will feel and you will know when it is time to move forward again. Okay? Dear ones, this is what I have for you, and I really hope it was helpful. I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to get a personal reading with me or just work with me, you can find the link for that in the description box below. Thank you so much once again. I wish you all the very best, and I would love to talk to you soon again if the universe will let me. Thank you so much.